Okay, this evening we're going to experiment with using an LFO as a ramp generator. I'm going to attempt to crossfade between two different filters using one oscillator. I start off with a nip patch. It's just an 8-foot sawtooth. Everyone knows you to create a nip patch. Just if you don't know, you go hold down Shift, hold down Utility, scroll over to init sound and press Shift and Utility, and to store that, hit Shift and Utility again. It's all stored now. So we can start. My first filter will be set up. It's going to be low pass, 24 dB, cutoff of 0, key track of 100, resonance of 42, and envelope amount of 48. The filter I'll be morphing to will be high pass, 24 dB, cutoff of 0, key track of 100, and resonance of 42. I will not be setting the envelope amount directly, as you see later. Now, I'm going to set up the LFO I'll be using for the modulation. That's LFO 1. I set it to square wave. I set speed to 0. I do believe, yep, start phase is set to 0 as well. I go to delay. I'm going to set it to 48. And fade to 48. Now I go to my filter envelope. I set that to 48, and I set my decay to 127. I set my release to 82. Amplitude envelope, I set my release to 64. Nothing to write home about right now. I have to write some mods in the Modulation Matrix. So, on Modulation 9, I'm going to get filter envelope to filter attack. I'm going to add 48 to it to make it more concave. Or is it convex? I think it's concave. One of the two. Filter envelope to filter decay. I'm going to set it to minus 43. Now, that's still on filter 1 because oscillator 1 is assigned to it right there. I got to write a few more things here. I'm going to write a modifier. And I'm going to say filter envelope minus 64, which is just a fancy way of inverting it for the purposes I need it for. I'll go back to the mod matrix. This is very complex. I might screw this up. LFO 1 to O1 balance. So it is changing filters, but nothing special. Now, on filter 2, which is the high pass, I'm going to send it to modifier 1, which is the inverted filter envelope. And I'm going to set modulation amount to minus 64. Change the cutoff on filter 2. just for yucks, I'm going to set the drive to sine shaper when it crosses over. Give it a little bit of boost. So that's the basics of it. Just an experiment. Now, here's the finished patch, which is called Dead Profit, which has all the technology, but a lot more goes into it. It has two oscillators. That one, as I showed you before, but it's 1 octave lower, and it has a sine wave, which is controlled by one of the envelopes. Anyhow, there's the basics. Have a good evening.